let you go though. We want the rooster story. We're not leaving. We want that rooster. Come on, Grandma.
I want to hear it.
We're not leaving. We're not leaving.
I heard it was a ham anyway. Let's tell them a story about a duck.
Right here.
When I was very young then, I said like a rooster and a hen for your children, for my mother. And I'm sure they would love to have them to make nice pets. Because the children jumped. I said, oh, sure, we'd love to have them. So she said, well, I'll have the boy put them in a little cage, you know, and you can take them home. Took them home, but we didn't know what kind of a rooster and hen they were. Oh, we were surprised. And we took them out of that cage the next day.
Oh boy.
They were going after everybody. Wanted to, you know, to, what are they? Peck everybody. Terrible. Nobody would want to go in the yard. Nobody. They were afraid. So one day, a cousin of mine came. She spent 2 weeks with us. And she said, how would you like me to make an ice cake for you? Sure. So she said, well, give me, see, in those days, the kitchens were outside the house. We lived in the country, you know, outside the house, and there was a laundry room next to it. And in the laundry room, there was a big coal stove, which the laundryman used to put all his irons on, you know, about 4 or 5. One was hot, he'd press, and then put it back and use the other one. So she could, the kitchen was, when the cook had finished cooking in the kitchen, he'd lock the door and go home for lunch, and then come back in the afternoon. So the only room she could use was that laundry room, because there was a stove there on the table. So she says, all right, give me everything and I'll make the cake. So we all brought eggs and flour, and we gave her everything, and she put it in a big bowl. Now she says, every one of you, I want every one of you to stand all around and watch for that rooster. I said, all right, you'll stay. Her name was Estelle. So we watched. I said, all right, Estelle, start. He's not there. We don't see him at all. Okay. She walks all of a sudden, out of nowhere. You always did that. Behind a bush. So here comes Estelle, here comes the rooster. Here we go. Estelle starts to run. She falls. She slips. The bowl, the eggs, everything went on the ground. No cake. No cake. But we didn't have a cake. Never again. I'll go into that room again. Never. So the next day she did make the cake for us. And we watched very carefully the rooster. She did. Then one day, my grandmother used to collect feathers. She had a long stick. And at the end of the stick, she had something to catch the feathers because she was on an age, you know. She was on, and she couldn't pick the feathers, bend to pick the feathers, so she picked up the feathers like that. And that was a funny story. My little sister, Odette, was about 3 or 4. And she used to say to her, now you watch, you tell me when that rooster's coming. She always had that stick ready. She was going to hit him. So, all of a sudden she starts picking feathers, and they had the bag. She used to make pillows for us, pillows. You take all the middle part of the feathers out, cut them, and she make beautiful pillows. All of a sudden, my little sister over there sees a rooster. Grandma. In French, she says, here comes a C-O-Q. C-O-Q in French means rooster, cock. Cock in French, you know, is rooster. So she was afraid if she said rooster, the rooster would understand. So she said, Grandma, here comes a C-O-Q. My grandmother didn't care if the rooster came on her head or anywhere. She just stood there and laughed. She couldn't stop laughing. Yeah, the worst part of it, my father used to get up every morning at 5 or 6 o'clock. He used to get up every morning, wake the whole house. He had a little Primus lamp or something, stove. He used to make coffee for the whole family, and he used to put the coffee in a big tray and bring it to everybody still in bed. He had a cup of coffee every morning. They go back to bed. Well, that morning it was a Sunday, and it rained all night. But Sunday morning, it's a clear day, and we were going to go to church. we had a little chapel there. We couldn't go to church every Sunday because the priests had to travel so far that we only had mass once a month there. So all ready to go to church. But he, as usual, got up at 5, 6 o'clock, dressed all in white during the summertime. We looked out the window, didn't see anything, it was a clear day. He wasn't thinking of the rooster. So he says, you just take a walk, you know, it was such a beautiful day. He goes out. You see those houses in the country years ago, they had gutters that ran across down, you know, the house, and you used to run close to the door, like, you know, to let the water go out. He goes out, makes a few steps out, all of a sudden, the rooster was somewhere hiding. Runs and goes for my father, jumps all over his white suit. Well, that was the end of the poor rooster. Just a one kick. We had a pool for, my father had a pool built in the yard for ducks. We had ducks. He kicked that rooster so hard, he got right into the pool. The cook came home, went to church, the cook came home. I want that rooster for dinner. Well, it was my brother's pet. You can just imagine. And the chicken, and the hen. Well, it was a pet. All of a sudden, my father says to us, very casually, I hope you'll all enjoy what you're eating, the rooster. He said, Raoul, this is your pet. He was joking. Well, you can just imagine, nobody wanted to touch the rooster. We couldn't eat it. We just couldn't eat that rooster. Of course, the older people did. That was the end of it. Oh.